In this video, I'm going to show you the settings that need to be turned off in your new Tesla Model 3 or Y. Also, please excuse my hair. I showered last night and I still look like a flamingo, so I don't know what to do with myself. So we are going to start on the center display. This would probably be a good video to actually watch in your vehicle so you can just go in and change these settings. I'll also show you some settings that need to be turned on. That way you're set up in the most effective way possible. But for some of this, you'll need to just play with it yourself and see what you like. The other warning I will give you is if you're driving down the road and you're frustrated and you can't find a button on here, just press the microphone button on your steering wheel and just say, like, if you need to open the glove box, for example, you click the button, say open glove box. Glove box pops open. So if you ever get stuck in your driving, don't take your eyes off the road. Just try to use the voice commands and find what you need. The other thing I will say that it's very helpful is as you're driving, it can be hard to press some of these buttons if you're on a bumpy road or whatever. So what I always do is put 4 fingers on the underside or top side of the display, and then I use my thumb to navigate what button to get to. So that just helps you be more precise in what you're picking. So let's get into it now. So on this first display here under controls, everything should come with your lights set to automatic. And then you can see you have your glove box button there, fold mirrors, and then I also have the wipers on off currently. You actually want to put that on auto to make sure when it rains, you're not looking for the wiper button. So put that on auto. On the next page, we're going to move to dynamics. I'm in a Model 3 Performance, so there's chill, standard, and insane. If you're in any other Model 3, it's going to say chill and standard. Now, if you want to save battery, you're absolutely going to want to put the car in chill mode. No matter which model you have, you will get more out of your charge for that. And then for ride and handling, I have it in standard. Now, the other thing that's here, it says apply brakes when regenerative braking is limited. That's currently on. I'm actually going to leave that on because what that does is that imitates the regenerative braking. So if your battery is close to 100% charge and you're driving a Tesla, you're used to the car slowing down with regenerative braking. This imitates it with your brakes. You want to keep that on. And the reason you want to keep that on is because if you let off and maybe you're at a slow speed in a parking lot and you're relying on that regenerative braking and it doesn't happen, it could lead you to freaking out and having to slam the brakes or something like that. So I would keep that on. The other thing is auto shift out of park beta. So these new Model 3s do not have shift stocks on them. So you have to go over here and then swipe and everything like that to put it in gear. But you can also just put your foot on the brake and it will choose whether it wants your car to go forward or backward based on your surroundings. Now, here's what I'll say about this. I currently have it on. If you're new to this car, you may want to turn this off. And the reason I say that is because it isn't perfect. And there's been a couple situations where if you're not paying attention, you tap the accelerator and you go the wrong direction. That could be the difference between you backing into a wall or something. Now, I will say, it is very convenient. Once you get used to it, you're really going to like it, but there's a lot of things to get used to while owning. If you're going in from a normal gas car into a Tesla, you want to ease into some of these things. So auto shift out of beta, I would turn that off if you're new to the car. But keep in mind, you should revisit these settings because it is really cool. And then slip start should also be off down here. That's only if you're stuck and need to get out of a situation. The other thing we need to talk about is charging. So it says charge limit 80% is what it's currently set to. Again, I would only have this set to 80% if you're going to be using it on a daily basis. And then I would set it to 50% if you're going to be leaving your car in storage or something for a while. That seems to be the best recommendation for the battery. And then if you're going to go on a road trip, put it all the way up to 100%. And you can see right here, it says, this is actually a great feature right here. Choose one-time charge to reset to 50% next time you charge or keep remaining. So this is where Tesla's software is very ahead because they know it's not good to be charging your car to 100% every night. It says the recommended charge limit is 80% for daily driving. So I am just going to do this one-time charge. That way it knows I'm going on a road trip or something like that, and then it will default back to 50% after the next charge. So it's really smart, some of the things that Tesla has built into here, and that was an example of one of them. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know that existed until I just did that. So 80% for daily use, 50% for long-term storage, and then 100% for your road trip, and then that is all laid out right there in that graph. Now, I'm going to do a separate video showing you how to set your car up, but this is more for the settings that need to be turned off and tinkered with right away. Now, the other thing we have here is full self-driving. So I currently have the full self-driving subscription. You can see it's turned on here. And I recently did a road trip to Las Vegas and had an issue with the full self-driving not adjusting to the speed and all these types of things. And you can get out of full self-driving, but you can't get back into it while moving. But there is a workaround for it. So you can see I'm on full self-driving here, but if I click my name and then switch to Andrew, and then I go back into Autopilot, you can see it says traffic aware cruise control because I have it saved like that under that profile. So that is a way that you can flip-flop getting in and out of them while driving. Now you can also see here under the Autopilot features, this you just have to change it to how you want it to be as far as your full self-driving, how aggressive you want it to be, your speed offset, and then your expanded full self-driving visualization. And then it also has Smart Summon, which I will do a video on soon as well. There's also standby mode here. So standby mode, I recommend having this setting off because when you enable it, as you see right here, it will keep the sensors, cameras, and computers powered to reduce the amount of time required to begin summon. But this is just going to cause more usage of battery. So I recommend keeping this off. I mean, unless you really need it to be very quick, I recommend keeping standby mode off in terms of your actually smart summons. So keep that setting off unless you need it to be extremely quick. The other thing under Autopilot as we scroll down here is your forward collision warning. Make sure that is on one of these three settings. You should absolutely have that on. If it's off, it just makes the car more unsafe. And then for lane departure avoidance, I actually didn't realize I had this turned off. So I'm going to put it onto warning and then see how that is, just to make sure in case you're going off the road or something like that. Now this can become annoying, so maybe that's why I turned it off, but just something to consider. If it becomes annoying, you can go into the settings under Autopilot and adjust it. This is another unique feature here as far as safety goes, emergency lane departure avoidance. I currently have that on. That lets it use the emergency lane or go off the road in corrective steering when corrective steering is needed to avoid an accident. I recommend actually keeping that on. Obstacle aware acceleration limits acceleration at lower speeds when it detects that something is in the way. And green light chime is something you absolutely want on because as soon as the light turns green, you get a little chime and you know it's time to go. Now over to locks here. The one that I have off is driver door unlock mode. So when the car senses that you are near it, it will unlock the driver door and the charge port. The rest of the doors will stay locked. I have found this to be very annoying, and the way to unlock the rest of the doors is to hold the driver door button from the inside, and that will unlock the rest of the vehicle. I've tried this. It's just like every time you have a guest, they're pulling on the door. I would make sure to have this off. Maybe unless it's just you go on dates with nobody, you're all alone and you live in the hood, then maybe keep it on. But I recommend just keeping it off because it's very annoying. Now, hands-free trunk is really cool because it lets you walk up behind the vehicle. You hear it go beep, 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 and then the trunk opens up. Now, one really cool feature that they've added here is exclude home. So I would check that box because it's a really useful feature if you're coming back to the car with a handful of stuff and you need to open the trunk. That lets you do that. And then excluding home, if it didn't have this feature, I would say to turn it off because if you're standing behind your car and the trunk starts to open, that's just really annoying. But they've thought about that. They have exclude home. So turn it on and then check that box. Your car left open notifications, make sure it says doors and windows here. That way you're just aware of what's going on when you leave your car. It's just a quick message to your phone and then you know what's going on. You also have lock confirmation sound. That should be on, and closing windows on lock, in my opinion, is very useful. So I have that turned on as well. Auto turn signals is one of my favorite features on the car, and this is a setting that you absolutely do not want turned off. You want that auto cancel on. This will be one of your favorite features on the car because when you get into a lane, it will automatically turn off. And it's even very smart. So when you go into a turn lane, it will keep the turn signal on until you have actually completed the turn, not just the turn into the turn lane. So it's really smart. It is something that will never annoy you, and you will hate driving cars without this feature. For accent lights, have it on nighttime only. You can't see them in the day and it just wastes battery. It's a very small amount of battery, but that's just what I recommend. Dome lights, I think auto is the best way to go there because you're going to need them when you get into the vehicle. Now under appearance, you can actually change the car into dark mode. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. And that's actually not going to lie, that's kind of nice to look at. And then you have blue light, reduced blue light here at night. Also under display here, when you click display and you want to clean the screen, you tap this right here, and this lets you clean the screen without hitting any of the buttons, and then you hold to exit. And there you go. We also have a lock rear display here. If you don't have any kids or anything, I would just leave it unlocked, but if you click that, that locks it up. You also have your scroll wheel function here, and it says temperature, but I actually want it to do acceleration mode, so that will let me change the acceleration mode when I press in my left scroll wheel, so that can be very useful. Now, under your navigation section here, you can see I have Use HOV lanes is turned off. I've found this to make it very confusing when you're in certain cities and maybe you're the only person in the car and there's not other people with you. So I've turned that off just to make the navigation more simple. And the other thing that I'm going to actually turn off is automatic navigation, automatically route to home, work, or the next calendar event upon entry. You can really sync your car up to be on schedule with you. I personally don't like to do that, so I've had that turned off. That way the navigation doesn't turn on and go somewhere and then I have to turn off the navigation. So for me, I like having the automatic navigation off. Trip planner is something that 100% needs to be on in the vehicle. This automatically adds supercharger stops on your trip and preconditions the battery. So make sure that is on, as well as online routing. This finds the optimal route based on traffic conditions, and you can change your reroute. So if you want your reroute to save you 1 minute, it will reroute you. If you want it to save you more than 30 minutes, then it will reroute you, but it won't do it for any less than that. I have mine set to 10 minutes. That to me is worth it. Now for tolls down here, make sure this is off. You do not want to avoid tolls because that could just take you on some crazy routes. And then if you want to avoid ferries, you're actually going to want to turn that on, which is a little confusing there. So I'm actually going to leave it on because if I ever have the chance to take a ferry, I'm taking it. Now there is Sentry mode. So Sentry mode is extremely useful on the vehicle, and I don't think you want to have it off. But again, having these settings checked over here will make it more useful. So Sentry mode, I always exclude home because the car's parked in the garage. There's nothing to really see. And when you're walking around your garage, it'll start to record you and things like that. So I always do exclude home, but keep it on. That way you can use it and remotely access it wherever you're at. I also have disable Sentry sounds. I actually have that turned off, but it could be a way to thwart I hate the word thwart, but I just used it. But it can be a way to thwart criminal if they're breaking into your car here, because you can see if we click this, it says by disabling sounds, Sentry mode will no longer honk or generate a loud unexpected sound when a significant threat is detected. Also want to make sure view live camera via mobile app is turned on because you're able to go into your phone and remotely check around all the cameras on your vehicle, and this is just incredibly useful. I turn off pin to drive because I just use my phone key. I turn off the glove box pin because I generally just use a voice command for that. And I have parental controls off because I don't have any kids that can drive. I also have speed limit mode turned off because if there's times I want to go 163 miles an hour, I can do that. But if you don't want to do that or want your significant other to do that or your kids, you can limit it right here, and you can do that under parental controls. You can go even further. The other thing you want to look at is cabin overheat protection. Now, this can be really nice if it's in the summer and it gets really hot, but I always have it on no AC because if you have it on when it's running, that's using air conditioning and it eats up a lot of battery. So I just generally do no AC. It keeps it a little cooler, but generally I don't think you want to have it off because this thing will just absolutely cook in here. Generally, the car will actually come with Joe mode turned off. You're going to want to turn this on. Basically what that does is if there's a warning or chime or something like that, it will alert the driver, but it won't bother the others in the vehicle. So all the sound will be directed towards you, but won't disrupt the others in the vehicle. So I actually think that's good. And if you want to turn off the power in the vehicle, you click power off. If you're a weirdo and need to clear the browser data in your vehicle, you can do that under service and then clear browser data. I don't know why you would need to do that, but Just trying to help you out.
And if you want your data removed from your Tesla, you may also want your personal data removed from the internet, and today's video sponsor, DeleteMe, can do that for you. Since I started using DeleteMe in December, the robocalls have gone to almost zero because DeleteMe has scanned 28,388 listings with my information like phone number and address and removed it from 286 sites, saving me a ton of time and keeping my information private. DeleteMe starts by having you fill out a profile of your name, common spellings, your phone number, address, or previous addresses you've lived at to find your information that data brokers are selling. These brokers organize this data, then license it to other data brokers or other organizations who can profit from your information. DeleteMe will generate your first report, and it can take a day all the way up to a month to get your information removed from the internet. And the best part is they keep removing your information every 3 months when it pops up on websites. Additionally, their privacy advisors even handle custom requests to remove your data if you find it somewhere random on the internet. DeleteMe is offering Gjeebs viewers 20% off DeleteMe US consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/Gjeebs20 and use promo code Gjeebs20 at checkout. There's also international plans linked in the description. DeleteMe, thank you for sponsoring this video.
Now under software, if you scroll all the way to the bottom here, and then you click cabin camera, you can see here that it says cabin camera is used to provide an interior view of the vehicle. View live camera via mobile app. Cabin camera is used to provide an interior view of the vehicle for this feature. So you have that, and then you also have data sharing here. So if you go in, I have all of these settings currently turned off except for a few here, it looks like. You know, it says here that we do not sell your data to anyone for any purpose, period, blah, 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 all this stuff. Essentially, these are letting the engineers and developers at Tesla use the data of your vehicle and then hopefully use it for improvements. I currently have all of this stuff turned off, especially like allow cabin camera analytics and things like that. I know they say they don't save it, but for me, I have allow road segment data analytics and allow charging data analytics because I feel like those are the two most important, sharing with Tesla. And then down here, you want to hit accept selected, not accept all, because that will turn all of those on. So I have those 4 turned off and these 2 turned on, accept. Now also down here under privacy, you will see location. So if I click location, you can see this icon appears when an app requests your vehicle's live location data. So if I click the Tessie app in my phone right here, boom, it pops up, third-party app, Tessie, currently requesting your live location, and you can see that pops up on the screen right there. So I use Tessie. I think it's a great app, so I let it use my location, but this would be a good way to look into here and see what apps are using your location, and you can turn that on or off in your phone. Another setting you could turn off is reduce fan speed during calls. This is actually a really cool feature that you can turn on or off, but I'm in Phoenix, so it's generally 1,000 degrees out here, and I'm just going to let the person deal with the air conditioning fan speed sound on the other end, because I don't want to reduce my comfort on my end. Now, the other thing to consider under Autopilot is if you don't have full self-driving, okay, and you want to do Autopilot activation, do double click. And the reason that I say use double click is because if you do single click, that eliminates you being able to use just dynamic cruise control and being able to steer the vehicle while cruise control works. If you do double click, you're able to double click into Autopilot or single click into your dynamic cruise control. So I always have it on double click. Now, there are a lot of settings we didn't talk about here. So if you want to see how to set up your new Model 3 or Y, click this video right here.